Let's talk about how breathtakingly stupid and unserious Donald Trump is, and how ridiculously full of shit his supporters are. I want to talk about this issue of paper straws because, Donald Trump unbelievably issued an executive order supposedly banning paper straws. Now, he didn't really ban paper straws, although that's what he says, and that's what the morons who listen to him and watch Fox News believe. What he did by executive order was prohibit the federal government from purchasing paper straws. He has no authority as president to ban paper straws or anything else. And by the way, I did a video mocking this and a bunch of other things. It's called Good News. If you haven't watched it, please do. I hope you like it. It's me just trying to have a little bit of fun amidst all of this really dangerous chaos that has been unleashed by the hordes of MAGA losers who voted for this criminal. Anyway, back to the paper straws. Now, he issued this executive order. Now, let's just, even for argument's sake, assume that it did ban paper straws, but as I say, it didn't. Is that in any way conservative? And that exposes how full of shit his supporters are, because they've all, cheered Donald Trump in banning paper straws. They think that's just great. Now, as to the banning them, why did he do it? Before I get back to the idiots who cheer this, why did he ban paper straws? Are paper straws like a national security threat or something? What did he say were his reasons? Well, I heard his rambling, incoherent statement he made in the Oval Office when his lackeys put the executive order in front of him and they had those ridiculous signing ceremonies. Anyway, what he said was, and this comes to the breathtakingly stupid part, he said he doesn't like paper straws, and okay, fine, I don't like paper straws either. They do kind of suck, but I don't really care either, because if I don't want to use paper straws, I don't have to. But I don't use straws, period. I can't even tell you the last time I used a straw. But anyway, so he doesn't like them. That was the main reason he supposedly banned paper straws. He thinks they suck. And also, this comes to the stupid part, he said they explode. He literally did, in front of a bunch of reporters who just let that go by, that paper straws explode. Now, I'm a lawyer, have been for, 25 years or so, and I'm pretty damn sure that if paper straws explode, I would have heard about it. And people in my profession would have made a lot of money suing the manufacturers of paper straws into oblivion and really out of business. Because if paper straws, if there's something inherent to paper straws that they blow up somehow when, exposed to liquid, that is a product that would not be made available to the public for very long. Can you just imagine? Because who uses straws more than anyone else? Well, it's kids. And if paper straws exploded, and there were instances of, little 5-year-olds drinking their chocolate milk with a paper straw, and it exploded in their little face, I'm pretty damn sure that lawyers would have put those companies right out of business, and paper straws wouldn't even be available anymore. So that is just absurd. None of those reporters, by the way, had any follow-up questions about that. Really? Mr. President, can you give us an example of a paper straw exploding? I'd really like to know the chemistry and the physics behind the exploding paper straws. I'd really like to know a little more about that. But no, he gets to just say this kind of ridiculous nonsense, and not a single question from the people there in the Oval Office. And by the way, on that, there's been a lot made recently about access to the president, because the AP was, I think it was the AP, was banned from the Oval Office. They can't go and report from the Oval Office anymore. They're banned because they didn't go along with this bullshit about renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which he also did not do. That's also a big scam. He only renamed, go ahead and read the executive order, it only renames a tiny portion of the Gulf of Mexico because we don't own the Gulf of Mexico. Anyway, the AP didn't want to go along with the bullshit lie that he had renamed the entire Gulf of Mexico, and because they wouldn't go along with his lie, they've been banned. And so there's been a lot of talk about, access to the Oval Office and everything. And my question is, if you're not going to actually ask questions as a member of the press, if you're given access to the president, whether it's in the Oval Office or anywhere else, if you're not actually going to do your damn job and ask questions, then what good is your access anyway? What is the point of you even being there? There's no point. There's other cameras there. Why are you even showing up if you're not going to ask any questions or if you're not allowed to ask questions? There's no point in you being there. Anyways, putting that aside. So Trump is a moron for saying these kinds of stupid things. But beyond that, these people who support Donald Trump, they call themselves conservatives, right? They rail against big government. How dare, we don't want big government telling us what to do. Yet they cheer and applaud when a president, with the stroke of a pen, bans products completely from the market. You can't even, if his executive order did what he says it did, which it doesn't, but just let's play along with his lie. So he supposedly bans paper straws. You can't use a paper straw in America anymore because one guy doesn't like them. In what way? And these people pretend that they are opposed to big government, yet they applaud the government banning products that they're not even available. What happened to freedom? What happened to the free market? I thought they tell us that the free market is what should determine what products succeed and what products don't. Here we have not just the government, but one guy deciding plastic straws will succeed in the marketplace. Paper straws will not because I don't like them, and I have decreed that no one should be allowed to buy them. And yet all of these people who pretend to be conservatives, who pretend to be constitutionalists, who pretend to believe in the free market, here they are applauding the banning of a product. Is it because they don't like it? No. The real reason is because in their mind, they're owning the libs. That's why they love it. And that's why Donald Trump did it. You think Donald Trump cares about paper straws? So if the orange piece of garbage doesn't like to use a paper straw with his Diet Coke, well, then he can use a plastic straw. This was not affecting his life. The reason he did this is because this is the kind of crap that they love on Fox News, and that his cult loves because it triggers the libs. It makes the libs upset when he does shit like this. And that's what they love. And that's why he does it. It's bread and circuses. That's what this is. That's what the administration is. He's doing all this horrible things that is negatively affecting these Trump supporters. When you crash the economy and you take away government services that benefit MAGA voters, that's going to hurt these people. But as long as you keep them entertained with the circus, with the nonsense, like renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which you're not really doing, and banning paper straws, which you're not really doing, and all this other crap, picking fights with Denmark, pretending you're going to, invade and take Greenland by force, all this crap, all this nonsense. It keeps them entertained and not focused on how he's screwing them just as much as he's screwing everyone else. And he would not be able to do this if it weren't for the fact that these people are fucking morons. Anyways, I got to get in. I'm freezing my ass off. Talk to you again soon.